Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. This is Dr. Carol Lourie, and I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Jovanka Ciares, and I apologize for my really bad pronunciation of her last name. It's my Philadelphia accent. So Jovanka is an herbalist and a functional health coach, and I am very much into the beauty and healing power of herbal medicine, and we're going to be talking all about that today. So thank you for being here, Jovanka, as a guest expert, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lourie, for having me. I'm excited for the conversation.
So introduce yourself to the audience and let us know a little bit about you as a person.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, a woman of African descent, living a life that I took for granted once I moved to the United States. So home cooked meals, fruit from the neighbors' yards,
Wow.
and in touch with the ocean and with the rainforest. I was just 20 minutes away from the rainforest. When I was a young adult, I moved to the United States to continue my education, and I moved away from that lifestyle, and my body rebelled. I had a lot of medical conditions, IBS, endometriosis, fibroids, all kinds of other issues. Western medicine didn't have any solutions to my problems. So I decided to look elsewhere. I first and foremost reclaim the wellness practices of my ancestry, right? Went back to my roots and learn about Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, Western herbalism. And not only my body started to react and heal, but what I learned, it became a big passion. I realized that especially the people that looked and sounded like me, weren't getting this information. And so I decided to take it upon myself to be the educator. And I've been doing that for the last 10 years.
Beautiful. So today that you said you wanted to talk about sugar, which is such an important topic for me as a naturopath and for my community of women with breast cancer, because sugar feeds cancer. Cancer loves sugar for the energy gas tank. And this is something that I always talk about with women, because understanding that is the beginning of understanding that cancer is a metabolic disease. So what is your perspective on sugar, and how do you work with women who have sugar addiction? Because it's so easy to have that in our society.
Yeah, what you said just now is really critical. Cancer and other diseases, especially autoimmune diseases, can be considered metabolic diseases, not necessarily in other buckets where Western or allopathic medicine puts them in. We do need to understand that when we see the manifestations of a particular disease, our bodies have been giving us cues, and we've been talking to us potentially for decades, telling us, today you might be gassy, the next day you might be constipated. That's a conversation your body is having with us, and we need to learn to recognize those conversations and address them appropriately, hopefully ahead of time. But like you, I deal with a lot of people with cancer, people that most of them are out of the allopathic portion of their treatment and are just simply interested in strengthening their immunity. And sugar is a big thing that comes up over and over and over. We know that sugar is an inflammatory agent. It causes a lot of acidity in the body. It leads to an environment where viruses, bacteria, and other chemicals thrive.
Right.
But how do you move away from it when a lot of macronutrients also are attached to a lot of fructose and sugars? And so educating people and empowering people to understand the differences between sugar and certain sugars is critical in my view.
So the standard American diet, which the initials are SAD, and it's not only sad, it's very dangerous. It's not just filled with white sugar, but it's filled with simple carbohydrates. And I just had a woman in my Empowered Against Recurrence life coaching program. She joined because she knew that she wasn't doing things for her better health. And the first week is nutrition. And she started crying when I was talking. And I said, "What's happening?" And she said, "I was told to eat Raisin Bran for breakfast."
Oh.
And another woman chimed in and she said, well, my oncology nutritionist told me just to switch over to whole wheat bread. So when I hear stories like this, I get very upset, but I also get very inspired because that is an indication that mainstream healthcare doesn't have a clue, or if they have a clue, they're not stepping it up enough. So when somebody comes into your practice, how do we transition them from eating the standard American diet, not only with white sugar, but simple
Mhm.
carbs, to a healthier way of eating? Because that's really important.
Yeah, I have several tips for people or several ways because change is hard for a lot of us, and
Change
but
is
not
hard for everyone. Let's just say change is not easy for all of for
it
everyone.
is not easy. So recognizing this is going to be a process, right? We're here to hold each other's hands and recognize that some days are going to be okay, and it's okay if we fall that proverbial bandwagon that people talk about all the time. It doesn't mean you're going to fall and stay fallen, right? You're going to go back into the wagon, fix what needs to be fixed, and move on. One of the things that I love to tell people is to start with what they love. When you are changing eating habits, you're also changing taste buds, behavior, emotional connection with food. So I tell my clients all the time, go to the market and what is it that you love? Do you love potatoes? Okay, what kind of potatoes do you love? You love only white potatoes, but have you tried sweet potatoes? Have you tried
Purple
Japanese
potatoes.
purple? Exactly. Have you tried yams and cassava and all kinds of other tubers that have the same consistency of potatoes, but may have different nutrients and will help you slowly change the taste buds? What kind of recipes do you like? What kind of grains do you like? What kind of vegetables and fruits do you like? How many colors? That's another great exercise that I do with clients. How many colors are in your supermarket cart at the end when you're ready to pay? And if you see only two or three, and most of them are white or brown,
There's a problem.
we might need to branch it out. Try the two or three colorful stuff that you love, and maybe be a little bit adventurous and try one or two things that you don't know, have never tried before. Try just one or two. If you don't love it, it's okay. At least you didn't spend a lot of money on it. But perhaps you've learned that there's something amazing to try. And also one other thing, recognize that it takes us 21 to 28 days to build a new habit. So if you're going to start, you need to start slow, right? We didn't get here overnight. We're not going to get out of here overnight. We're here as doctors, as providers, as practitioners to help you and hold you accountable and help you when things get really bad. But time is of the essence. It's important that you understand that everything is going to take time. So you need to give it time.
And yeah, you just get started with one thing. I always say to that woman, for example, okay, let's just get started with changing your breakfast. Let's not think about everything else that you need to get started with or do. Let's just contain it to one thing and focus on that. Otherwise, when you look at all the enormity of everything that needs to be changed, you get so overwhelmed that you just freeze and you can't do anything. So let's just get started with one thing and focus on that. And so what kind of herbs would you recommend for somebody who has sugar addiction or is recovering from sugar? How do you put together your herbal formulas?
Yes, that is the quintessential question. So I love a handful of them, and I put together a little list for you guys. So the first one is a micronutrient by chromium. Is very popular. It's very common in certain foods, so you can consume it in whole foods if you
What's it
prefer.
called again, Jovanka?
Chromium.
Chromium, sure. Okay, I'm
Chromium.
taking notes. Go ahead.
Right. Bananas, apples, certain whole grains, broccoli are really high in chromium. I love it because it helps your body, it helps sugar enter and exit your cells a lot faster. It'll also help you with good metabolic fat, so allow for good metabolism of the fat that's already in your system. And it decreases that fat
We
especially
all need
around your
that.
stomach.
I absolutely need that belly fat around your stomach. We all need that help with that.
Yes. And so it also will help you slowly but steadily, because again, everything takes time. decrease your desire, your cravings for sugars and for simple carbohydrates, especially simple sugars. Then there's another one. This is a blend. It's from Ayurveda, and it's called Triphala.
Yes, I
Triphala
know
is
Triphala. Yeah.
it's
Go ahead.
really it's a blend. You can only consume it in pill forms because in powder form it's really not very palatable. But it helps you remove excess fat from your body. It's a great cleanser of the entire GI tract. It detoxifies all of your elimination organs. It has a little bit of a process where it might actually make you, eliminate a little bit more. So if you're somebody with IBS or somebody that has loose stools, you might need to be careful with this one. But it's really great as an anti-inflammatory. It helps you improve circulation, and with it, the process of metabolism. And then the simpler herbs include cinnamon, which everybody knows about, right? It's really great at controlling blood sugar, glucose levels. It minimizes insulin spikes, especially after a meal. It's an analgesic, so it helps you reduce pain in the stomach and the cramps that happen when you've had a meal that you shouldn't have had. And it helps you increase insulin sensitivity. Everybody knows cinnamon. You can consume it, as often or as regularly as you can. It almost can be consumed as a tonic, if you will. And then the other one that I wanted to mention, which you may not have heard of, is called Gymnema. And Gymnema is spelled Gymne. I think it's MA, but it could be MMA. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Right. So Gymnema is this really powerful, it's called the killer of sugar, because it actually has the ability to, on a short-term basis, reduce the sensation of the taste of sweet in your mouth. So it literally kills the taste of sweet, slowly but steadily helping train your brain and your hormones into understanding that you don't need as much. But also internally at a metabolic level, it delays the absorption of sugar, at least temporarily. It stimulates the release of insulin, which will decrease eventually blood sugar in your body. So it is this really powerful little plant that you can consume also relatively regularly. What I recommend my clients is to do it, to take one bottle, which is 60 to 90 days for that term, and then give it a rest for about a month or two, and then go back to it if absolutely necessary. But in those 60 to 90 days, you are embracing other lifestyle choices. You're changing your taste buds. You're changing your diet. You're working with your provider on dealing with emotional relationship with the food and the body. And at the end of that particular period, you might be a new person.
Well, that's really wonderful. That becoming a new person in 60 days is a short period of time, considering how long we've been alive. Let's talk about emotions and food, which is such an important topic. For example, the Jewish holiday of the Jewish New Year is coming Sunday night, and the first day is Monday. And I was feeling really sad because in my family, when my mom and my grandparents were alive, everybody would be cooking, the special holiday meals. And every religion has that, whether it's Judaism or Hinduism or Christianity or whatever. Every religion has special foods connected to their culture, and especially the holidays. So I was thinking, well, it's there's this Jewish bread called challah, which has gluten in it. It's made with wheat flour. And I'm thinking, am I going to make a gluten-free version? Then I decided that was not great because I can't resist eating it all because I love bread, even if it's gluten-free. And then I went to saying, I'm just going to make the chicken soup and a gluten-free honey cake because we are wishing people to have a sweet year. So food is very connected to our emotions and to celebrations and the holidays. That's one thing, but food, emotional eating every day is a different topic. So let's talk about that a little bit, because everybody does emotional eating. It's impossible not to.
That's a beautiful point, because we do want to celebrate right? Every culture around the world, not only the big religions of the world, but technically every culture comes together. And especially at this time of the year, it's a perfect time of the year to let go of the old, to atone, and to move on to the new, and that's one thing. And I love the idea of always honoring the celebrations, but also recognizing that not every year we're going to celebrate. Not every year is Thanksgiving. Not every year is the New Year. Not every year is your birthday. So on the days when you are living your life, it's important that we start by recognizing the conversations that your body is having. One of the first things that I tell my clients, every single client, I ask them to write a journal. Spend a week. If you're not the writer kind, then I would expect you to write just a word or a phrase. When you drink in the morning or when you eat in the morning, how do you feel 5 minutes after that meal? How do you feel maybe an hour, maybe 24 hours after that meal? What happens when you feel hungry? There is a lot of things that are happening in our bodies that we insist on not paying attention to. And it could be really nothing, but it could eventually turn into something 10, 20, 30 years down the line. So to understand the emotional relationship that we have with the foods that we consume, but also with the thoughts that we feed ourselves, and thirdly, with the body. Especially women, we tend to struggle a lot with what we see in the mirror, with what the idea of society, with respect to the way we should look or not look at whatever
Getting better
time.
now. It's definitely getting better now. You
Yeah.
see women of color, you see women of different shapes. Thank goodness it's not all these 6'3", anorexic
110
women
pounds.
nobody can look like.
Right, absolutely. And there's still a lot of women, men and women, struggling with what they look like and not recognizing the beauty. So every single time, creating mantras, creating affirmations that remind you that this amazing machine is that we call a body is truly an amazing machine that is the only home we have to live in, and we need to honor it as a way to honor our ancestors, the people that sacrifice a lot to get us to where we are today, ourselves, but also the people that we care for today, whether it is our children or people that are around us that we love and want to be present and well for them.
I love this idea of creating a mantra or an affirmation. When you find yourself in a low spot, that's the time to push the reset button. And a mantra or an affirmation can really help guide you away from those depressing, hopeless, feeling like you're a piece of you-know-what thoughts. I mean, people are much more sensitive than our society allows. And sometimes a little thing can just turn a switch. And the next thing you know, you thought you were having a good day, but you're not. Mm-hmm. So how do you then recover yourself? Using herbal medicine or mantras, and you don't want to use food in a very unhealthy, non-right, because a lot of times, I'm not feeling well, just have a little cookie. That's the old thought process.
We've all done it. We've all done it, and it's a comfort thing, right? We have been indoctrinated to believe that it actually gives us comfort, because it also does, right? Like chocolate or sugar will have the ability to have a dopamine reaction in the body. It might be short-lived, and at the end it might lead to feeling even worse. So instead, let's just use some herbal remedies. I love my cacao. I think that is incredible. I love to blend a little bit of cacao in alternative milk. And I add a little bit of maca. Maca powder is an adaptogenic plant that comes from South America. And it not only helps you adapt to stress, but it helps you with stamina. So if you have a full day in front of you, you need to stay focused, that's what you need to take. So I blend a little bit of cacao with some monk fruit. And monk fruit is really fantastic because it does not spike your sugar. It actually is very low in the glycemic index.
Right, it is. Absolutely.
It's very low in calories as well. So just 1 teaspoon each of cacao and maybe monk fruit, maybe half a teaspoon of maca powder, and a pinch of cayenne pepper. And you can add it to the frother, or warm it up the best way you know how, and take that drink in the middle of the morning or in the middle of the afternoon. It's an incredible blend. It's so
Sounds
simple
delicious.
yet powerful. Yeah, very, very delicious. If you're the kind that don't do chocolate or don't like drinks of that nature, I love my adaptogenic teas. So things like ashwagandha was one of my favorite adaptogenic plants. It comes from
Absolutely.
India. In the Americas, you have lemon balm, which is very ubiquitous in North America. The North American native peoples have been using it for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And it's minty, it's lemony, it's
I love
really,
lemon balm.
oh, it's great for those people that are not struggling with a lot of anxiety, just simply feel overwhelmed and they want to go into the kitchen and have some ice cream. Just you can take it as a tonic. I take 2 to 3 cups a day. In fact, that's what I'm drinking right now. And I absolutely love it. And then there's many others. The beauty of the world of herbalism is that for every action, for every one thing that you need, there might be a dozen to 2 dozen botanicals that will help you. So if rhodiola doesn't work for you, try ashwagandha. If not, maybe you want to try some cordyceps or something else until you find the one that works for you.
The other thing about herbal or botanical medicine is the herbs are pleiotropic. What that means is that they don't just do one thing. And that's the beauty of herbal medicine. And the more I study, especially with putting together herbal formulas for people with breast cancer and cancer, I mean, they address so many different aspects. For example, kava, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. Kava is like a natural Valium.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not into this Valium or Ativan situation, only in extreme end of life situations. But to stay healthy, a lot of women have anxiety. So kava not only it comes as a tincture and it comes as a tea. As a tincture, you want to put about 15 to 20 drops in some hot water or boiling water and then drink it warm as a tea. You can get tea bags and make it as a tea. Not only does it taste herby, but it calms your nervous system, but it has a lot of anti-cancer properties.
Yeah, it does the same thing as alcohol without the damage to your liver.
Okay.
Like people in parts of the Pacific, they sit around on a Friday night and have fun and go to bars and enjoy themselves. And instead of numbing or using alcohol to relax, they use kava, which is
that's so cool. Do they eat the leaves or they drink the tea?
No, they have kava bars. So you have blends of kava with other botanicals and you make it as tea and people drink it and just have a good time.
Oh, we need one of those all over the U.S. It's a great idea.
Yeah, from what I understand, there's one in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Okay, next time I go, I'll have to go walk around and say, excuse me, I'm looking for the kava bar.
Exactly.
That's so wonderful. And what about if people are having trouble sleeping? How can we help people get better sleep?
Yeah, so there's a number of things. With sleep, is a little bit complicated because you have to practice sleep hygiene. So it's not just the herb, right? It doesn't matter how many herbs.
Sleep hygiene. Some people don't even know, like, what the heck is that? I've never heard that phrase.
So sleep hygiene is essentially a protocol that you create for yourself or with the help of your practitioner to help you have help support your body in the process of letting the body work with the circadian rhythm. Maybe your body starts producing more melatonin and get tired when it's supposed to get tired, reduce the cortisol and adrenaline and other hormones that are not supposed to be present when it's dark and when you're supposed to go to sleep. And that it includes other lifestyle changes, things like don't take your little screens with you to your bed.
Okay,
your bed is not-
just a second, that's a big one.
Yeah.
You can't go running around like a mile a minute and jump into bed and be doing paperwork and looking at your tablet or watching television and go, okay, I'm going to go to sleep now.
Right.
And then you lie there and your eyes are closed, and it's like an hour later, it's like, okay, why am I not asleep?
Right. Yeah, it's pretty bad. We tend to do that a lot. So yeah, removing that at least an hour, if not longer.
I agree.
The bedroom and the bed especially is the only thing that should happen in the bed is sleep and make love.
I agree 100%. I'm glad you said the making love department. I was going to say it's
Correct.
sleeping and loving, for sleeping and loving.
For sleeping and loving, if you need to read, just read in the sofa until you feel that you're getting tired. Maybe with a tiny light, try not to use a lot of bright lights in the house. Make sure that your TV has been off for a few hours. The room should be relatively cool. You should not be freezing, but you should not be too warm as well. And then I love my little sleep hygiene protocol involves massaging my feet with or essential oils or base oils. Some essential oils could be really strong and it could burn your skin, so you need to be careful. I would recommend people to use base oils to start with. So if you run very hot, you can use coconut oil. If you run very warm, you can use the other way around. If you run hot, use coconut oil. If you're always cold, use sesame oil as a base oil. And all that means is that maybe just a little bit of oil on the palm of your hand, add some essential oils, and those could be things like fennel, things
Lavender.
like lavender, boswellia, all of those that are designed to help you relax. And then you rub your feet at your ankle level from the ankle down as you recite your mantras or your prayers, or just simply thank your feet because nobody pays attention to them.
I know.
And then, put your socks on and go to bed. I promise you, you'll remember me because it will give you such a great alternative to help you sleep.
Well, there are all these acupuncture meridians start and end at the feet. And there are pressure points for the entire reflexology is a whole science, right? And when you are in there massaging your feet, you are relaxing your nervous system and you're paying attention to yourself. And it's a beautiful suggestion, Jovanka. And I think that it's very interesting when I see people in person. I always look at people's nails if they don't have nail polish on and their toes, because you can tell a lot about the health of a person by the health of their toenails. And do they take care of their feet? And I'm not talking about getting mani-pedis and putting nail polish on. I'm talking about what do your nails look like without anything on there. And if they have white little dots on them, that's a sign that you're zinc deficient. So there is a lot that you can tell from somebody's health just by looking at their nails without nail polish. Now, I'm a gardener, so sometimes my nails don't look so great, but that's fine. I'm happy to have nails that don't look great because I'm in the garden with my fingers in dirt. But I absolutely do take care of my toes. What I use is my dear friend and colleague, Jane Barlow Christensen. She has this Heel, HEEL cream that is, as you said, it's some kind of essential. And the wonderful thing about it is it doesn't make your sheets greasy.
Good to know. That's good.
Yeah, I use that on my toes and my heels and my elbows. And but I love what you just said about using either coconut oil or a drop of sesame oil with some lavender essential oil and rubbing that into your feet and taking a deep breath and saying your mantra or saying some positive affirmations, because they help you calm your nervous system, and then you go to sleep. And I bet you have really nice dreams when you do that.
You also start changing your perspective, and your subconscious mind starts to recognize, I don't have to take these negative thoughts that have been swirling around in my mind all day with me to bed. I'm going to take the positive with me and hopefully go into that, so that when I wake up, hopefully I'll wake up with those beautiful positive thoughts as well.
That's a beautiful way of ending. You don't need to take difficult, negative, unpleasant thoughts with you to bed. And doing the ritual of rubbing your feet and focusing on affirmations and self-love and calming your nervous system is a really beautiful way to end the day, no matter how difficult it's been. Sometimes you're in a very difficult place. I have women in my community who have an enormous amount of stress. Staying at the top of the wave of that stress, little things that people do add up.
Absolutely.
So this little ritual that Jovanka has just shared with us is really beautiful. Jovanka, how can women find you, please?
Sure, you can find me all over social media except for TikTok. So I have not embraced that one yet. At Jovanka Ciares.
Neither. What's your
and
website?
On my website. My website is jovankaciares.com.
That's very easy for all of us to remember. And do you have a contact me option in there?
Absolutely. You can also contact me. So people get in touch with me through Twitter and LinkedIn and or Instagram, even more than on my website. I guess that's where people live, so that's where people can find me.
What's your Instagram account, Jovanka?
So it is Jovanka Ciares as well. Same thing with Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And YouTube. I just realized I haven't been on YouTube in a minute, but yeah.
Okay. I love that. So Jovanka, thank you so much for being here. Ladies, you know that I'm a very big proponent of herbal medicine, and Jovanka is really an expert in this area. And I encourage everyone to really take a moment and reach out to her. And I know that she'll be able to help you a lot. So Jovanka, hang out here for just a second. I'm going to say goodbye to all my wonderful community. And ladies, it's Carol Lourie signing off for now. And Breast Cancer Awareness Month is coming up. So everybody strap in. But for those of you who are part of my community, you don't need a month. It's your life. And I'm here with you 12 months out of the year, not just 1 month. And I will be doing more of these guest expert interviews to celebrate. It is a celebration that there is more awareness of breast cancer. And in the 60s, before Gerald Ford's wife announced that she had breast cancer, she came out with this diagnosis. It was a shameful, embarrassing thing that women needed to never talk about, and it was a secret. And thank goodness that has changed, because secrets make bad health. So I want everybody to stand tall and be proud of who you are and make some healthy choices for yourself. And I'm signing off for now, but there'll be more later. And Jovanka, hang out with me for just a second. Bye for now, everyone. Thank you so much for being here.